Population Anchor Science 8, it's Mr. Drzezinski. Miss Tamaro and I are going to go over the natural selection activity. We're going to do the activity here on the desk. I'm going to get all the data for you here on the board. Then you can complete this activity at home as you watch the video. Natural selection video, introduction. The process of natural selection occurs because there is almost always more offspring born in nature than can survive. Organisms naturally vary in their inherited traits, and these differences can affect how well they can compete for limited resources. Because some variants survive and reproduce better than others due to having adaptations that help them in their environments, the genes of a population change through time. Favorable genes and traits become more common, while less beneficial genes and traits become less common. In this activity, we will model how birds prey on butterflies. The birds are going to be Miss Tamaro, and the butterflies are going to be Chips, who are hiding in a floral background, which is on the desk. These butterflies are all in the same species, though they differ in body color. You will investigate whether or not their natural variations in body color offer them any selective advantage in an environment. Ms. Tamaro, what is selective advantage?
Okay, so here's going to be your procedure. The first step, you're going to place the floral background given to you by your teacher on the tabletop. The second step, count out 10 chips of each of the 3 colors for a total of 30 as your initial population.
Here's 10 reds. You can show them the red chip. They're a little translucent.
There's the red chips.
Here's that yellow. 6, 8, 10. Yellow chips. Now those were blue. Blue chips.
Okay. The third step, appoint one person as the facilitator. That person should spread the chips out randomly over the entire background, making sure the chips aren't on top of each other. The other members of the group should have their back turned during this procedure.
Okay, I'm going to tip the camera up a little bit, and you'll notice that I have all of the chips in a pile. I'm going to spread them out with my hands so they're equally spaced in the background. You can keep reading.
The fourth step is the birds should turn around and take turns picking off the butterflies one by one until 15 butterflies are eaten. Count carefully. Note that the birds are to take the first chip they see when they look at the background, and then follow each chip with their eyes as they put it in the discard cup, labeled dead butterflies. Do not look at the background until it is your turn to feed again. Once 15 butterflies are eaten, the birds should stop feeding and the facilitator should carefully shake off the background to remove survivors. Group the survivors according to color. Count and record these numbers in the data table. Assume each survivor produces 1 offspring. For each color, add that number of chips from the extra chips to the survivors. Count how many chips you have of each color. This will be the survivors plus their offspring. And record this in the data table. Mix the chips together and redistribute them on the background as in step 3. Then you're going to repeat the entire process, which is steps 4 through 9 again, making sure to record the number of survivors after the second predation and the number of after the second reproduction. Repeat the feeding process, steps 4 through 6 again, making sure to record the number of survivors after the third predation, You do not need to have the butterflies reproduce again at this point. Sort out all of your chips back into their correct cup for the next class.
I will try to point the camera down at the floral background while we're picking the butterflies off. And then I will try to point the camera up to our data table to give you all the data points when that time comes. Okay, we're ready to begin. Let's see if I can put this down here a little bit. You're going to be the bird. Okay.
One at a time.
Yeah, you know you got to turn around, not looking, I'll spread them out. And then as soon as you turn around to look, you'll pick the first one that you see. Here we go. The bird's turned around, and it's going to come and pick a butterfly. That's one. We're going to do 15 butterflies. Go. 2, 3. She's going to turn around each time, and then the first butterfly she looks at, she's going to pick. We're at 5. You'll notice the floral background has some different colors to it, so some of these things are going to hide better than others. There's 7, 8. We have to go to 15. 9. This is a bird eating butterflies. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14, 15. Now remember, this is a model of what might go on in nature with butterflies on flowers and birds finding them and eating them. These 15 were eaten and they're dead. And these 15 that are still on the flowers are alive. The dead ones are not going to be able to reproduce. These that are alive are going to be able to reproduce. And we need to go to the next step. The next step, I believe, we find how many survived and group them by color. There's a lot of reds here. There's only one blue left. And there's medium amount of yellows. It looks like there's 6 yellows, 1 blue, and 9 reds. I believe the reds that are going to reproduce, there'll be 9 new red ones. The yellows reproduce, there'll be 6 new yellow ones. The blues are going to reproduce, there'll be 1 more blue one. Okay, there's yellow, there's blue, I'll get 9 reds. That was 1, 6, and 9, right? Okay, 9, need to write that up here. First predation. 9. 6. Okay, on our data table, if you can see this, there were 9 red ones survived, 6 yellow ones survived, 1 blue one survived. Now I'm going to do the reproduction. Oh no, it's not. 18, 12, and 2, which gives us 32. This is like too many. I'm going to take it off, it's 9. Mr. Drzezinski miscounted. I think we were only supposed to have 15 alive, and then when they reproduce, we end up with 30 again, but somehow we ended up with 32. So we're going to pick off more butterflies this time. All right, here's our second predation. Probably put too many out to start with. Can't get all these in there. I think one of the things last them in the questions is to predict what's going to happen before we do it. Okay. The bird's ready and the butterflies are ready for the second predation. Now I got to get the dead butterfly cup. Dead butterflies. Okay. Miss Tamara, go. And we're going to take 16 this time. 1, 2, 3, and after 5, I'm going to move them. 4, 5, and I'm going to move them a little bit. There's hardly any blues. We're going to go to 16, go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and one more because we had too many, 16. Okay, we're going to look at the data and then I'm going to get back to you, but right now I'm going to turn the camera off. Again, we're back. We got all the numbers for the second predation. All of the blues got eaten. Blues actually stood out pretty much on that flowery background. We still have a lot of reds, 11. We had 4 yellows. They're still existing. They all reproduced, so we went to 22 reds and 8 yellows and 0 blues. And we're ready for our third predation. Miss Tamara the bird's gonna eat some butterflies. Okay. You're taking 15 off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop there a minute. It's important when this exercise is being done that the person who acts like the bird doesn't overlook what's going on. They're trying to just see the first thing that they see to kill. All right, we have 5. We need 15. Go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Could you have made a prediction before we started which of the colors might have existed best on this colored background? It looks to me like at the end of the day, the reds did well. I also want to suggest if you didn't see the background well enough, there's really no blue on it. There's a little bit of yellowish, but it's mostly green and red. And the reds seem to survive. We're counting now. 15 reds, no yellows, and no blues. Now, Miss Sherry made up this exercise, and she suggested that we only go through 3 predations, and we can see already just through 3 generations, all of the yellow and the blue parts of this species have disappeared. The reds survived the best. And at this time, no more yellows will reproduce, no more blues will reproduce. So they've, in essence, gone extinct. Those features or traits have gone extinct from this population. At this time, only reds would reproduce. Okay, Miss Tamara is going to read some of the questions that you have at the end, but you'll be expected to answer these yourself.
Okay, so number 1. Which, if any, colors of butterflies, which were the chips, survived better than others by the end of the experiment?
Number 2 reads, what might be a reason that the birds did not select a colored butterfly as frequently as the others?
Number 3. What effect did feeding a particular butterfly have on the numbers of that color in the following generation?
And we did 3 generations, 3 predations. Question number 4 at the top of the next page. Did any colored butterfly disappear from the population at the end? Explain.
Number 5. Is the mutation that makes a butterfly dark green good or bad in this environment, and why?
We didn't have dark green chips, so you want to imagine what would happen to a dark green chip. which would have been a butterfly. Number 6, is a mutation that makes a butterfly bright purple good or bad in this environment, and why?
Number 7, the birds in this experiment were visual predators. They targeted their prey with their eyes. Would the color of the butterflies matter if the birds were finding their prey based on their pheromones, which is chemicals the butterflies release? Explain.
The last thing that you need to do is graph the data on a graph. I'm going to recommend that you use Google Sheets. If you can use Google Sheets to put these numbers in, you can use Google Sheets to automatically make a graph. So try it that way if you wish, or if you just want to write it on a piece of paper and take a pic, that'll be all right also. Okay? Miss Tamaro is from Slippery Rock. She's a student teacher that's working with Miss Sherry over in biology. She was very thoughtful and grateful for helping us here today. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Get the exercise done and we'll move on. Have a good day.